What? Damn. Pun not intended. Now that was an example of a high-intensity episode. A strong contender for the best episode of the season, in my opinion, with only Rhaenyra the Cruel and the Red Dragon and the Gold being strong contenders for the throne. After this season wraps up, I plan on doing a few more House of the Dragon related videos, and one of them will almost certainly be a ranking of the 8-episode second season, so if that happens to sound interesting to you, do not forget to subscribe and ring that notification bell. For now, let us get into it. The 7th and penultimate episode of the second season of House of the Dragon is titled The Red Sowing, referring of course to the attempts to raise up new dragonriders by the Blacks. Fairly obvious that, but I suppose it could also refer to the raising of the Riverlands army by Oscar Tully and Daemon, with the latter event being red due to the apparent execution of Willem Blackwood. Press F in the chat to pay respects. At any rate, the episode begins straight away with Rhaenyra confronting Adam. Unlike the previous 2 episodes, this one jumps straight into the action, and the Red Sowing can get away with this due to the build-up present in those former episodes. Rhaenyra is ready for a fight, but for once in her life things actually go smoothly for her, with Adam immediately bending the knee and swearing allegiance to her. He also does not bring up the fact that he is one of Corlys's bastards. I do not believe this is a show spoiler, but in the book both Adam and Alan claim to be bastards of Laenor, predating his marriage to Rhaenyra, though in the book most everybody suspects that they are really Corlys's sons. To be clear, I do like this scene between Rhaenyra and Adam, for reasons I will explain later, in a House of the Dragon Season 3 predictions video, most likely, another reason to subscribe to my channel. However, I do kind of wish we got a scene with Adam claiming to be Laenor's bastard, if only to see Rhaenyra just frown at him. Adam looks positively giddy to have a dragon. Good for him. The dragons really do not seem to take kindly to potential riders who are nervous, although that certainly cannot be all there is to it. After all, I doubt Rhaena was nervous when she tried claiming sea smoke, only for it to fail. And just 2 episodes ago, Rhaenyra mentioned that Daemon failed to claim Melees, while nervousness for Daemon is only a post-Harrenhal patch. One of the quieter scenes in this episode is where Jasper Wilde, the Iron Rod, has a little chat with Larys. This scene fascinates me. We have had neither the opportunity nor the pleasure to see much of Wilde's internal motivations. He is the quietest member of the small council, after all. I like that he's asking Larys for advice on what to do with this rumor about Seasmoke's activity. Now, I think that the context of the previous episode makes it pretty clear that this is not Larys being incompetent for sweeping this rumor under the rug. Since his abrupt dismissal by Aemond, he has pivoted completely to Aegon's side, and that means keeping Aemond in the dark as much as possible. Rhaenyra has another conversation with Mysaria, and I noticed that Mysaria has basically been combined with Rhaenyra's fool and advisor Mushroom from the books. Her line about looking for dragonriders under the sheets and in the woodpiles is basically taken straight from the book and from Mushroom's mouth. I like this conversation between Adam and Corlys, though Corlys's good job is a bit ironic now, seeing as Adam did not really have any agency in the matter in the show. Daemon is just chilling in Harrenhal when Oscar Tully, now Lord Oscar Tully, shows up. It is a shame that we will not get to see the Elmo Tully in live action, but Oscar is a lot of fun this episode all the same. Now all we need are Black Alley and Bloody Ben, and the gang will be all here. Hopefully those 2 get cast for Season 3. Archie Barnes does a good job capturing Oscar's newfound confidence, and his political side too. The major river lords are assembled in all their finery, though Simon Strong outshines them all with his fabulous getup. These little glances between Simon and Daemon are easily the highlight of the episode. The scene also showcases how Daemon actually goes where someone pushes him for once, going along with Oscar's political shenanigans. for the first time in his life. Rip Willem Blackwood. You were too based for the show. We get another scene between Daemon and Viserys, much to my delight. It is not very subtle, with Viserys straight up saying that Daemon would not like being king very much, but it works because this is not really Viserys, probably. It is Daemon's hallucination of Viserys, which means this is Daemon saying that he would not like being king, kind of, from a certain point of view. We cut from one Targ falling apart on the inside and one Targ falling apart on the outside to one Targ who is doing both. Aegon is really rocking that Emperor Palpatine look. Larys is pushing Aegon, and I can see why. Aegon is his only lifeline to power now. He cast Alicent aside, and for nothing. A lot of the skullduggery that goes on in this episode feels like it should have been intercepted by Larys, but I always got the impression that he is doing everything he can to keep Aemond in the dark, so I am not shocked that he does not intervene in the bringing of the dragon seeds to Dragonstone. We get another scene between Corlys and Alan. It is interesting to see how the Sea Snake is more comfortable talking to his sailor son than to his dragonrider son. He low-key asks Alan if he wants to try his luck at riding a dragon, but Alan declines, as he is neither desperate nor stupid. Instead, Corlys tasks him with helping head a covert operation for Rhaena. Viserys and Aegon the Younger are on their way to Pentos from the Vale. Rhaena, however, has decided to go dragon hunting, alone, in the Vale, with no supplies.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
Alicent has decided to become a hippie and live in the woods. Honestly, her storyline is probably the weakest one in the show. In the episode 8 trailer, we see that she seems to be taking a more active role again, so that's good. I also really like this scene between Rhaenyra and Jace. He's upset, but not really about the idea of putting bastards on dragons. I mean, come on. This is actually an important point, and I'm glad we got into it. Jace is a bastard. More importantly, he's not a legitimate heir, and he knows it. I think this is probably why he has been trying to get involved in the war effort, like when he treated with the Freys. Legally speaking, there's a lot of weight to the idea that Aegon and Aemond could be considered the heirs. It just happens that Aegon is useless and Aemond is crazy. Jace feels he has to earn the right to be Rhaenyra's heir, and now he fears that putting Dragonseed bastards on the dragons will further weaken his claim. After all, what is the difference between his claim and that of the other Dragonseeds? His dragon. And now that is gone as well. In the world of Westeros, looking the part is as important as anything else, perhaps even more so than all the rest. And for all his competence and his dragon riding, Jace does not look the part of a Targaryen prince, and he knows it. I have already given my thoughts on why the recruitment of the Dragonseeds was able to happen, so I will not spend much time on it here, though arguably Elinda should not have worn that bright red cloak. I like Ulf's scene because it explains why so many decided to risk leaving everything behind.
Dragon!
I like Hugh's scene because it has huge implications. Hugh reveals that his mother had the silver hair of a Targaryen, which by itself could just mean that his mum was a Dragonseed. However, he describes her as mentioning her nephews, Viserys and Daemon. This means that his mum was almost certainly Saera Targaryen, a daughter of Jaehaerys the Conciliator. Jaehaerys had a lot of kids, but she's the only one who fits the description. The Dragonseeds arrive on Dragonstone, and Rhaenyra arrives to find that she has a problem. Her Dragon Keepers are all racist. In all fairness, this is a group that keeps obsidian knives on them at all times so they can kill themselves if they get burned, so I don't know why I expected them to be reasonable. Nevertheless, Rhaenyra manages to make a pretty good speech.
And without bloodshed. God's willing.
Note that she did not say fire. There is some debate about whether or not Rhaena should have started with Silverwing instead of Vermithor, seeing as the former dragon seems to be much more rider-friendly than the latter. However, I think picking Vermithor first makes sense. Silverwing's friendliness is not a given factor, and Vermithor is the largest dragon in the Black's arsenal. If they can get only one rider out of this whole operation, it should be one for Vermithor. This scene where Vermithor is introduced is great. The tension, the sound design, the slowness of his arrival, and Vermithor looks great. Yup, that is the money shot. Rip to pretty much the entire pool of dragon seeds. This is a great long take, though unfortunately I cannot show it in all of its glory, because YouTube, monetary, copyright reasons. I love how Vermithor looks confused about why Hugh is not running and screaming like a good mule should. From what I can see, it is not as much bravery that the dragons are attracted to, but a lack of fear. Ulfir is not being particularly brave, he just gives up and does not bother being afraid. It is that which seems to flip a switch in the brains of the dragons. Okay, this guy isn't food. I love how animalistic the dragons are, and I love the uniqueness of their design, sounds, and personalities. Daemon is just chilling in a small council meeting, going over stuff, when he learns that the Blacks have acquired more dragons. I like how what is a joyride for Ulf is a terrifying incident for pretty much everyone else. Daemon has to ride out of King's Landing to get to Vhagar, which makes sense. He immediately gets on his dragon, but has to retreat when he gets near Dragon's throne. I like how he has to fight Vhagar to get her to retreat. Their bond is still very much a struggle at times. Dragon riding is not easy. Rhaena looks very pleased, and why wouldn't she? The tide has finally turned. Okay, now for some endgame predictions. I have to admit, this does feel a bit moot, seeing as the final episode got leaked. I have not seen anything about it, and I am going to guess that most people have not got into it, which is why I'm still bothering to go into predictions. Based on the final episode trailer, it looks like we will have at least one, and quite possibly more battles. I imagine they have not cast Daemon yet. We will most likely just get this shot of his dragon. Rhaena has to go find her dragon, Daemon needs to do something with his new army, and it looks like Corlys might be doing something as well. Everything has changed with the acquisition of 2 more dragons for the Blacks. Now the Greens will be desperate to get more dragons into the air. However, they just don't have that many to begin with. It looks like Aemon is trying to get Rhaena into action. Yeah, that's not going to end well for anyone. I, for one, am super excited to watch the finale. See you guys next week. Maester Mac out.